Today, we tap into our nerdiness, our inner geek, our inner nerd. We head downtown to beat the crowds because it's Comic-Con day today. Lots going on downtown later. Right now, it's MuskeCon 2.0, like a really big kick-ass software update. And while we're being all nerdy, let's talk about mathematical exponents in digital photography, the comparison of JPEG versus RAW. I don't know why people do that. It's like it's a controversy, like it's a boxing match. The main event. Math. What am I doing here? When I think back on all the things I learned in high school, is it any wonder I can think at all? Hi, I am John Jacobson. This is Picture Michigan, and with so much going on at downtown Muskegon today, it is Comic-Con day, and that's our choice. It is hockey night tonight at the arena, and also Pigeon Hill throwing a big birthday party. Comic-Con just seems natural. Let's go to Comic-Con. MuskeCon 2.0. It is not just this little itty bitty Windows update. This thing has grown huge. There is, I think, more people here right now than probably half of last year's show. It is, I'm seeing all kinds of goodies here for sale, and I think we have more stormtroopers here this year than we had last year. In fact, I heard R2-D2 a couple of moments ago. I'm seeing everything for sale here, including local authors and their books. And hey, look, this guy's still here, and the costumes here are just absolutely marvelous. This is cosplay. This is not 2.0. This is like an update from Windows 95 to Windows 10. Holy cow! And weapons galore here, and face painting taken to an all-new level here. Well, we'll come back. We'll see how that one's being updated.
Sure. Yeah.
It's Leo.
It's me.
Hey man, what is this? Is this Raphael?
This is, I think so. Leonardo, I think.
Leonardo?
Yeah.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
I'm good too.
We don't dare call them toys, because I think they're supposed to be officially called action figures. Leather goods here at the MuskeCon Comic-Con that you would expect at the biker show. You gotta dig it. But something a little less than common here is... Yes. I feel welcome and at home, thank you. And I've got to stop at my favorite store. This is the collection to see of steampunk stuff. And I'm loving it. Is it a sewing machine? Is it a laser beam? I don't know. It's steampunk.
You mentioned Deadwood
It's steampunk at Deadwood Productions. And so just so we're clear here, I had mentioned earlier there are a lot of weapons here, but they're not real weapons. See, they're just like little toys and stuff. And despite the danger that... Okay, I'm causing a problem here. It's fun! Just not sure what's going on here. We either should call a paramedic or he's got a broken heart because it looks like he's falling apart. Hi. We're not sure if we're hiding with zombies or from zombies. I'm hungry. Okay, so we are here with
Mark Reynolds.
Mark and your wife, Camera Shy.
That's Annie. And my daughter Scarlett.
Hi, Scarlett.
We're playing with Legos.
These are some awesome critters you got going on here.
Thank you.
These are masks or play toys?
Yeah, these are more of movie props and masks. And we got a lot of other different items, handmade as well. A lot of these are foam filled, and they hold up. They're really high quality latex.
Oh my!
And they're hand painted, sculpted, molded all by me personally.
And these are light. These are lighter than I thought.
The cons are Alien Man, which is an original design by me. And these are also latex rubber. And then we have some werewolves over here, which are also foam filled. I do a lot of foam filled. So we have a lot of different varieties of horror, sci-fi, spooky stuff. Spooky Fog Studios is the name.
That's what I was going to
It's a tongue
ask.
twister.
One more time.
Spooky Fog Studios.
Excellent. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
JPEG versus RAW, it's not a controversy. It's not worth bringing up, but there is something else that I want to bring up regarding maybe something like the blind leading the blind. Let's get some definitions out of the way first here. First, JPEG. We all know it. We all love it. It's everywhere. It's universal. Pretty much any and all digital cameras will save a photograph as a JPEG. Now, Camera RAW, on the other hand, if you have a camera with, let's say, better capabilities like interchangeable lenses, odds are that digital camera will save a photograph as what is called a camera RAW file. This computer file type records the data as it hits the sensor. Therefore, it's not yet an image. It has no interpretation whatsoever other than the data that's on the sensor. That data includes the unassembled visual spectrum of tones, all packaged in a 14-bit digital file. Conversely, the JPEG is an 8-bit file. Now, if you're doing the math in your head right now and thinking, hey, that's a 75% increase in information, I'm afraid it doesn't work that way. You have to get nerdy here and think on a parabolic equation of mathematical exponents. Okay, another definition. Shooting JPEG and shooting RAW. Lingo. It means if your digital camera is saving in JPEG, you're shooting JPEG. If while you're photographing, your camera is saving in camera RAW, you are shooting RAW. Simple as that. If you are shooting film, you, my friend, are a miracle worker because you somehow managed to get a roll of film in your digital camera. Excellent. The controversy. There are some photo gurus out there on the interwebs and inner tubes that might want to say something like, shoot JPEG if you're a professional because you can get your exposure spot on, or maybe you can't afford the storage space for those bigger files, so you should shoot JPEG. Late last year, one such guru was recommending shooting JPEG while he was discussing the merits of camera RAW. I don't know why they do it. Maybe they just want a little more attention. You may know who the Frono's photo guy is, Jared Polin. I think I declare him the official torchbearer on the subject of camera raw. I mean, why not? He's got the t-shirts. In this video's description, I will link to a Jared Polin video in which he clears up some muddy waters that this photo guru was muddying with some statements he made. Jared, I believe, does so diplomatically. Personally, I want to go Gordon Ramsay on him, so I'm going to leave that one up to Jared. For me, my take on it, it's kind of personal. I think someone in a public forum, a guru, should not be recommending JPEG when camera raw is an option. I consider it irresponsible and reckless, especially in a public forum, especially when discussing how great camera raw is. I once accepted the advice of shooting JPEG, and it was based on a one-on-one conversation with a trusted friend, a trusted colleague, and we were bouncing off of each other pros and cons. Ultimately, the decision was made, and I regret it. The reason I accepted this advice had to do with time spent in front of the computer. It had nothing to do with getting my exposure spot on or storage space for these bigger files. Back in the day, the average computer just did not have the muscle to work their way through these complex data files like the average computers do today. Back when I made the digital photography transition, we're talking Windows ME and Photoshop version 6.0 ages ago. For the sake of brevity, this is going to be oversimplified. No splitting hairs allowed here, okay? Well, I'm shooting with film in my digital camera. What is that called? Like I had mentioned, the measured difference between these two file formats have to do with mathematical exponents. I'm sorry to relive this nightmarish day of high school when we had to learn that word. JPEG, 8-bit, camera raw, 14-bit. These are mathematical equations. 2 to the 8th power for the JPEG, 2 to the 14th power for the camera raw file. Doing the math, the JPEG 8-bit, it's just 256. Or the 14-bit camera raw file, I'm just going to estimate it. It's over 16,000. Let's play a game, shall we? Let's say we have in front of us two piles of money, $256 or over $16,000. We get to pick one, keep it, no strings attached, except the other pile of money just poof, disappears. Now, if we listen to some photo gurus out there, he might recommend, you're a professional, your P&Ls are spot on, take the 256. Or maybe you're poor. You can't afford the storage space for all that money. Take the 256. I'm taking the 16,000. Yeah, I know, that's fun. Let's go to the infographic. That's more fun because it's informative and it's graphic. Mathematically, the JPEG is representing 256 tones for each pixel or photodiode on a camera sensor. Therefore, each pixel in a camera raw file is representing 14 bits worth of information on each photodiode pixel. So therefore, it is over 16,000 pieces of information. Different shades, different tones. Okay, so for example, the JPEG's 256 tonal depth here, and there's a middle here, it's a middle gray, a neutral gray, a 50% gray, it's even an 18% gray. I told you this is nerdy complicated here. Each tone on either side of the middle gray is, we'll call it value number 127, value number 129. And so the JPEG in this little slice has only one possible tone. So in theory, camera raw in the same slice will have 128 different tones. That's the theoretical. That Plato would like that. Let's do Aristotle here and say, in the world of being practical, it's not quite that much. I'm sorry, forget I just mentioned Plato and Aristotle. It's not going to be 128 tonal shades. It's because of photons and electrons and I don't want to talk about that either. It's something Spider-Man and Darth Vader are going to be talking about over a beer during happy hour. It's signal noise, camera noise that are going to interfere with those extremely subtle shades. So it may not be 128 tones in that little slice between the 127 and 129, but even on the worst day and the worst conditions, that camera sensor picks up 12 tones. Yes, please, I want it. Mama, don't take my camera raw away. Mama, don't take my camera away. Yeah, and then there's some irony going on here, because although the camera noise is limiting the tonal range there in that little slice, overall, the camera raw file will give you much greater control over camera noise. JPEG files off the camera are perfectly acceptable. Consider it a good roll of film. Camera raw, if you got that option, that is a much, much better roll of film, and it's for the same price as that JPEG roll of film. The JPEG file that's coming off of your camera is already an interpretation of what your camera sensor saw. It is automatically going through its own post-processing, which probably includes sharpening, noise reduction, contrast adjustments, and saturation adjustments. When I'm making art with my photography, or when I'm delivering to a paying client, I want that extra control during post-processing. Therefore, I am shooting raw. If I'm mild-mannered Little League dad or soccer mom, and I got a Nikon camera and I like to take the photographs, I'm personally still shooting in camera raw. It's an insurance policy. And as far as storage space goes, yes, it's a variable for everyone. And some things just simply need to be budgeted. I mean, yeah, money-wise and storage-wise, we can't have it all. It's a matter of setting priorities, and I believe the priority of the flexibility and quality of camera raw versus JPEG outweighs the storage space in which we shoot differently or we delete things differently. My recommendation is always shoot camera raw like it's the only choice, and that will mean learning some new post-processing workflows and even learning some new software. For example, this picture here was shot with a digital camera, and it was shot in camera raw because I knew when I was there, in order to properly express the essence and the sensation of while I was at this spot, I was going to need that data from the camera raw file. Experience had already told me JPEG is going to lose those lines buried in the highlights and the shapes hidden away in the shadows. This is an important element of design, decoration in the picture space. If it was shot in JPEG, the essence, the true essence and artistry would have been lost, and it would have been just another nice photo of a nice waterfall. Camera raw, it is an important tool. It's just another tool, correct, but camera raw compared to JPEG, a much more important tool because of that flexibility. It's the nice bright colors and the greens of summer, and the whole world is a sunny day. Yes, that's how that's done. I am John with Picture Michigan. Remember, keep pulling that trigger. Yeah, I gotta hear it too. What do you say we close this thing out? A little love into Ryman and Simon and this derivative parody, just to be safe. One final word here. It's about the photo guru that was demonstrating with one of his concert photos the benefits of camera raw. The photo was extreme contrast, bright concert stage lights, and the singer's face buried in shadows, and he's making a comment of how he wants to be able to see the singer's face, therefore shoot in camera raw so you can bring out the shadows. The problem with that particular photo is there's no element of camera raw versus JPEG discussion that will get his face back because there's a microphone in front of his face. Part of the objective qualities of photography is that the better photo would have been without a microphone in front of his face. And that's good enough. I don't want to say anything more about him. I'm going to go all Gordon Ramsay photo guru. And if you say ISO, it's okay. You don't have to say ISO. There used to be a day where why does he do that? It's okay to say ISO. If you say ISO, you're not saying it wrong. That's okay. Don't let the photo guru bully you into back in the old days with film. We said ISO. When we made the change to digital, we said ISO. It was a day when, like, these things here with the, if you look,
Feed me, Seymour.
You would put a roll of film in here, and based on the film sensitivity or the film speed, you would have to set your sensitivity or speed right here. For instance, it's actually on this lens. Do I have an old roll of film somewhere? I do. And then there's also and then these guys here made it possible for automatic film speed detection on a camera. It's like a little barcode with an electronic reader on the inside. But this here, it doesn't even say ISO. There is no ISO. Look closely. Look. You see, that says ASA. But if you're saying ASA, you're saying it wrong. ASA, it's ASA, you're saying it wrong. It's asshole. This is only the second time I've ever been to any kind of a Comic-Con. I need to keep reminding myself this is MuskeCon with all the costumes and the cosplays going on here. This could almost double as a strippers convention.